And finding yourself seated comfortably, perhaps laying down if that's better for you. Coming back to that theming, letting go of attachment to the need to be active and productive. Find the value in rest. We know that we have to recharge our batteries for our remote controls, for our TVs, or replace them. Our bodies are the same way. We have to recharge. So if you're one of those people that during this current time that we're going through feels like you have to be doing something busy around the house, tidying, prepping, planning, let your work today be finding rest. If you've gone into shutdown mode and you've really been more sluggish than you'd prefer to be, let your mind be more active during this practice. The body will still be resting, but the mind can continue to work. You can almost think of it sort of as a yoga nidra type practice for you today. The body at rest while the mind continues to find new pathways, new ways to grow and change. I think you'll notice that in the pause between the breaths, in the softness of the body, whenever we're not moving, whenever we're in the state of stillness between changing positions, that's when you get that real sense of presence, of being in the moment. So try to find that now as you either sit or lay. Deepening the breath, breathing in through the nose, and then out through the mouth, sighing it out. Appreciating that little pause at the end of the exhale. And then trusting that your body knows when you need to inhale again. And when you need to exhale. Again, savoring that little sweet spot at the bottom. Allowing the body and the mind to work together here to find a breath pattern that works really well for you, for your nervous system. Our bodies are pretty cool. We don't have to tell them to breathe, but if our bodies are upset or the mind is worried, by controlling our breath, we can help to slow down the nervous system. So there's a really cool, it's like driving a car that can be both manual and automatic, you know? So let your breath be that emergency manual mode. Slow, deep inhales. Soft, long exhales, as if the air is just escaping now. And perhaps you begin to find a pause after the inhale as well as after the exhale. Finding more of a 4-part breath. And for now, not doing anything to change the duration of time in any of these 4 parts, but just beginning to notice what they are. Which ones are the longest? Which ones are the shortest? Which ones do you enjoy the most? Perhaps one of these 4 parts feels a little challenging. For myself, from my own experience, when I'm really stressed, really anxious even, my inhale, it's really tough for me. It's tough for me to get a big, long inhale. Other times, it's my exhale that's hard. So just notice where you are today, what your starting point is. We're going to start to begin to mold our breath. So right now we've got all 4 different lengths. And we're going to start to be able to find more of a square breath. Samavriti, the same breath. So all 4 parts of the breath are going to be the same amount of time. And you can do this one of 2 ways. Actually, we're going to say one of 3 ways. We're going to cheat here just a little. So the first way is by counting. A pretty safe number to start counting with is either 3 or 4. So you can empty the body of air. Let's all do this together. So everyone empty. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. 2, 3, 4. Empty. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom. 2, 3, 4. Now continue a couple rounds on your own. This 4 count square breath. You can also increase it if you'd like to try 5 or 6. Really, this is your breath, so do what feels right. But imagine as you inhale, you're climbing up a square. As you hold the breath, you're coming across the top. And then as you exhale, you're coming down the other side. And then as you hold empty of air, you're coming right across the bottom to where you started. So really making that square breath. And you can keep doing this with counting, or I'm going to offer you an option to do this intuitively. Can you come so deep into your body, so sensitive to the breath, that you can just do this knowing, just trusting your body that the inhale is about this long. Hold the breath. Feels about the same amount of time. Exhale. And hold. And just kind of feel your way around that. It helps to close the eyes if you have the eyes open. Again, imagine that square. The third way, Gata meditation, using a phrase or a mantra. So for example, a question that I was going to ask during the practice today to help you form your intention is, what am I choosing right now? So what a great time to ask that question, to meditate on it with our square, our Samavriti breath. So inhale silently to yourself, say, what am I choosing right now? Hold at the top, what am I choosing right now? Exhale, what am I choosing right now? Hold at the bottom, what am I choosing right now? You can do this meditating on this question, wondering how this will help you decide what in life you're choosing and how this can help you forge an intention. Or it can be an affirmation. Maybe, I am here now. I am here now. I am here now. I am here now. Whichever way you've chosen to really establish and solidify the square breath, I'd like you to stick with it for a few more breath cycles. And they're going to be longer breath cycles because this breath does take longer. And then notice how the physical body begins to react. What kind of changes happen? Not letting there be a label of good or bad. Just noticing. You can stay with this square breath, or you can just find a softer breath. Sitting well, adjusting through the body if you need to. Coming back to Aparigraha, the 5th yama. It asks us to remember that joy in life is not dependent on the things that we have. It's not about having. It's about remembering that what we possess possesses us, and what we hold on to holds on to us. And that doesn't mean that you can't have things, that you can't have relationships. It means that you can't be solely owning them, just you. You have to share. You have to be willing to change, open to change, be flexible. So when I ask you, what are you choosing right now? You can maybe think of it as, what are you not allowing to change? What are you holding on to? What would feel good to release? And that can look like anything. It can be a burden. It can be clutter in the attic. So many ways we can apply this. Perhaps it's a conversation that you had weeks ago that has just been ruminating in your mind, just really bothering you. What are you choosing? What are you choosing to hold on to have an attachment to? That ultimately might be keeping you from a higher level of joy, of greater happiness. Because that's what Aparigraha is about. By releasing those attachments, we're able to find more happiness. And how does this come back to the attachment of our need to be active and productive in this time? And it comes back to it pretty well. What have you been choosing? Have you been choosing to be really busy or really still? How have you felt as a result of that? This practice today is about choosing what you can let go of. And then finding rest in the space between. I'd like you to begin inviting some movement back to the body. There's a lot of stillness, so you can rock. If you're seated, you can rock forward and back on your seat. Side to side, pressing the rib cage or even tipping the shoulders. If you're laying down, you can hug your knees to the chest. Begin to rock side to side. Giving your body a little attention in every area, especially through the center. So some twists would be really great. So whether you're seated or whether you're lying down, go ahead and take some very gentle twisting. You can start with more motility, so maybe without finding your full mobility and cranking yourself into a twist. If you're seated, you can bring hands to heart center. Begin to rotate the chest towards the right. Come back to center and rotate towards the left. If you're lying down, what this looks like is hugging knees to chest and then letting the arms come down to the floor and just tipping the knees from right to left. Pendulum. And then maybe as you get into your twists, you begin to twist a little more, finding your mobility, using some leverage. Keeping the face soft, the eyes are open, keep the vision soft as well. Let the corners of the vision blur. You're not focusing on items in the room, your attention is still very much inward. Twisting to both sides. And now, if you're lying on your back, I'm going to have you rock and roll up to a seat. If it works better for you to go side laying and then coming to hands and knees and then a seat, you can do that as well. All of us meeting seated, sitting in a place that feels good for you, so you can sit on a block or a blanket if you like. We're going to do just a few side bends. So right hand down to the floor or a prop, left arm up and over. Noticing what feels good here. You can come down to forearm if you'd like. You can open through that left shoulder. Find some movement. There's no right, no wrong here, just movement. Then switching sides, left hand down, right arm up and over. Maybe opening through the chest. Pulling the shoulder blade down through the right side. Back up through center, reaching high, hands to heart. Let's inhale, open the chest, open the arms. Exhale, round the spine, elbows together. And you can do the same variation with the arms, opening and closing like gates. Or you can bring hands to knees. And as you inhale, let the palms slide up the thighs towards the pelvis as you lift the heart, lift the chin to stretch the front of the throat. Exhale, press the hands towards the knees, rounding the back, hollowing out the front of the body. Doing this a few times, whichever one you're choosing, and then we're going to do something interesting. Just to notice what we notice. One more full breath, whichever way you're doing it. And now I'd like you to switch. Not switching what you're doing with the arms, but switch what you do with the breath. Instead of inhaling to lift the heart, I want you to inhale to round the spine and hollow the front of your body. Exhale, the heart comes forward. Inhale into the back. Exhale, heart comes forward. Imagine that all of your air is breathing into the backs of the lungs. Just doing something different than we've been perhaps trained or learned, taught to do. Just one more time. Good. Now, our first pose is going to be a child's pose. And you can do this so many ways, you guys. You can do it just a traditional chalasana, child's pose. Feels like a chilasana pose. You can do this with the knees together, the toes together, resting the chest towards the thighs. You can widen the knees, get into the hips a little more. Or, since this is restorative, I'm going to suggest props. So I would say bring some pillows, bring some blankets in front of you for sure, but maybe even behind you. You can place blankets, sweatshirts, anything soft, fabricy under the feet, and then also between the backs of the legs. That way there's a little more support there. You can lift the hips up as high as you need. As long as the torso is supported, the knees feel good, and the ankles and the feet feel good as well. If you'd like to drape a blanket over you for a little more warmth or weight on the back body, you certainly can. And I'm going to let you know when we're halfway through the pose. That way you can make any adjustments that you need to. And also so that you can turn your head if you have your head facing one direction. Allow your eyes to close if they're open. Come back to the breath. Coming back maybe to your square breath. Samavriti, same breath, all sides. Or maybe you'd like to just let the breath come naturally. Maybe every inhale, every exhale is a little different. And no matter what, you savor every bit of it. This breath that we have, it's not promised to us, it's a gift. A quote that I read recently said, "There's no such thing as a long life." And it can seem pretty bleak on the surface, but really it's true. No matter what, life is so precious and goes by so fast. And I think in the time that we're in, we're being forced to face a lot of scary things, and we're realizing, that everything we're doing is all, we are born and we live, and everyone dies. It's part of life. It's part of yoga, this full circle. So again, what are you clinging to? What is your purpose, your motivation? It's a good time to ponder that, to let this be a reset if you need a reset. And appreciate every breath as it comes in your body. And as it leaves the body. Perhaps you can even imagine the sound or the visual of your heart beating, pumping blood. Again, what a gift. And begin extending that appreciation through the rest of your body. Sure, you may have things that hurt. You might have stiffness and soreness from long-term injury, from all sorts of things. But can you find appreciation for each body part? For the things it can and can't do? Because together as a whole, all of these pieces, they make up the body that carries your soul, that carries your life, that allows you to be you. That's pretty cool. So if you're someone that has been pretty inactive during this time, let this be a busy time for your mind. Take charge. If you've been busy, if you need rest, I'm going to invite you to come to the breath, to place a hand on the heart, a hand on the belly, and just feel the movement of your hand as you breathe. To listen to the breath. Just feel the appreciation and that innate joy that rises up from within. I am here now. I am here now. We are halfway through the pose, you guys. Any adjustments, this is a great time. If you need to shift, to move a hand or a foot, turn your head, go ahead. And then try and resubmerge yourself back into what you were doing. Letting this be a time of recharging. A few more breaths. Enjoying any space that that breath provides you. Maybe allowing yourself to hold on to it for just a moment, but then let it go. And then begin to find some movement through the body. Depending on the shape of your child's pose, it might look a little different. But eventually, coming off of your props enough so that you can be in a table-like shape. If your bolster's in front of you, you can come on forearms onto the bolster. That's fine too. And again, just move through the body, stirring around the energy that's already present. Imagining that maybe it was all concentrated in the hips since we had a fold there. And try and stir that around. So maybe even bring some of that energy forward and send it back down to send through the legs. Bring it forward into the torso, energy to the arms and the hands. You can tuck the toes, send the hips back and stretch through the backs of the heels. And then when you're ready, come all the way down onto your belly, being fully pronated. So just laying flat on the belly. You can stack the hands, or you can lay them out to the side, or you can Superman them in front of you, lying any way that's comfortable. And right here, just like this, notice what you notice. How does this feel? Is there anywhere in the body that this feels uncomfortable? Where does it feel really nice? How does the breath feel? You take a big inhale. Can you feel the back body lift away from the ground, expand? As you exhale, it comes back towards the earth. Maybe the opposite. Maybe as you inhale, you feel resistance and pressure towards the ground. And then you feel that release as you exhale. Again, there's no right, there's no wrong. There's just what is. Depending on how your low back feels, depending on your anatomy, all sorts of things, a lot of contributing factors. This might be like a gentle back bend for you, depending on all of those things. So I'm going to ask that you stay here if your low back is talking to you, if it's whispering to you. If not, I'm going to have you come to a Sphinx Pose. Elbows under shoulders, and heart lifted. Just starting here. If you'd like to do this with support, you can bring a bolster. So this is regular, and this is just fine even for a restorative class. But because it is restorative, I'm obviously going to encourage lots of props. So you bring a bolster perpendicular to your mat, and then you lay the chest on the bolster. You can bring the arms out to the sides if you like. Just watch the rotation of the shoulder heads forward if you have any shoulder conditions. I would say bring the elbows forward and let the hands come down. The further back you press your bolster towards your pelvis, the more of a back bend you're going to feel, the more of a lift of the heart you're going to have. And if you'd like more, you can take more. You can walk the fingertips back a little bit, lift through the heart. Just remember that you're looking to let go of attachment to results right now. So if you're trying to get a deep stretch in, maybe ask why, when really what we're here to do is restore, to refresh, to renew. So I would say go easy into this. Let the bolster completely support you. Or if you're on your forearms, you can even hang into the shoulders a little. And just notice the new shape of your body, the new shape that you're making with your body. The new angles. And now imagine softening all of the angles. Softening the flesh away from the bones. The bones become a little heavier. If you'd like, you have a block-like item that you can bring in front of you, you may tuck the chin and then support the forehead with the block so that the back of the neck can be wrinkle-free and really have the head supported. I'm going to say don't just let the crown of the head really hang. So tip the chin and lift through the back of the head if you'd like that stretch, but don't just let the head hang. So you have a few options there as well. Again, an option to reset, to release yourself from anything that's been holding on to you, that you've been holding on to here. Find softness. Honoring any thoughts that come to mind, even if they seem out of place. If you feel like they're random, that's okay. Just welcoming them. Letting them pass by if they need to pass by. This letting go of attachments, this Aparigraha. It's less of an idea of doing, it's less action than it is just living out, or living out this idea of being without the attachments itself. That makes sense. So it's not about feeling like you're doing something wrong if you have attachments. It's just about moving towards a lifestyle without them. So not shaming yourself, not feeling bad if you haven't been able to let go of things. And sometimes those things that we hold on to, it can be the approval of others. It can be wanting to be in a certain place in your life at a certain time and being frustrated with not being there. Attachment comes in all sorts of ways. So if you find yourself noticing that there are some attachments that maybe aren't serving you well, and it's hard to let go of, we can say release attachments all day long. Doesn't mean you can just snap your fingers and do it, but being aware of it, and then knowing that it's not always, your happiness doesn't have to depend on the results right away, or even ever. It can just be a sigh of relief, So working towards having an attitude of letting things go, of being unattached to things. So having an attitude of accepting where you are in life, not worrying about what people think of you. It's those little tiny tweaks, that 1 degree change of direction, eventually, in the long run, in the distance, makes a big difference. Up close, it might not. But big picture, when we zoom out, it really does. One quote that I really like says, if you know your being is in the right place, let that be the goal. Just the knowing, just the presence. Now you're going to begin to lower back down all the way onto your belly so that you're prone again. And I'd like you to bend your knees and then gently move the heels side to side like windshield wipers. You can do this together, or you can do this apart, whatever feels good for you. And then maybe the ankles cross in front of each other, and then back behind. Till eventually the feet land back on the mat, and you're able to press yourself back up to a tabletop. moving slowly, mindfully. If there's any movements along the way that feel really good, taking those. And now we're going to find our seat again. And we are going to do a butterfly. And you have the option, 2 different options. You can do a traditional butterfly where you are seated, spine stacked, feet together, soles of the feet together, knees wide. You can lift through the heart, or you can even round forward. Or if you have the props, or even if you'd like to lay flat on your back, you can. You can do this laying down. Still keeping the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, but letting the back be supported instead of rounded and coming forward. So notice what's calling out to you. There's a good chance that one of these sounds a lot more appealing than the other. Go with that one. That's your body speaking to you tonight. Maybe it feels good to place the hands over the belly. If you're doing that, maybe even one over the belly, one over the heart, try and get some support for the elbows, for the arms. So move some props, blankets, pillows, anything under the arms for support. That way there's less effort. Allowing yourself to be here with no work to be done. Enjoying the body, the breath that you have. Feeling content. Can you invite in contentment? That everything is fine, just as it is in this moment. In fact, Yoga Sutra 242 says, true joy arrives through contentment. So by planting this little seed, by inviting in the idea of contentment, you're creating a path. Perhaps true joy can come flooding through. Content how you are, where you are, with what you have, with no need to hold on to grasp things that seem harder than they're worth having, to things that you felt like need to change, but you've been afraid of change. Buddha said, you will only lose what you cling to. Is there anywhere in the body, anywhere in the breath that you feel like you're clinging to? There's a little more effort there. Can you let go a little further? Can you invite in a little more air? Let the breath be smoother. Perhaps at the bottom of the breath, after you've exhaled, you can linger in that space. Feel true contentment there. Even if it's for just a few seconds. You might even notice that the corners of your mouth gently turn up as the physical body responds. And whether you have music playing or no music and there's more silence, give yourself space. To really open the sense of sound, of hearing. What can you hear in the space that you're in the body that you're in? If you have music on, or if you hear a rhythm of some sort, or there's noise in the house, tune in. Just listen to that. It's happening right now. It's present. If you don't have music, what can you hear besides my voice? Can you hear your breath? Are there sounds maybe from outside the house that are distant yet audible? Letting this sense be open and alive. Begin to bring your awareness back. Feeling your back supported on the floor, or if you were seated in your bound angle pose, your butterfly, or hunched forward. If you're hunched forward and rounded forward, I'd like you to stack the spine and lift through the heart. Maybe shift from side to side, get some twists. If you were laying back, I'd like you to close your knees in towards each other. Then maybe rock the knees side to side again, windshield wipering. And whenever it feels good for you, everyone is going to meet together, lying flat on their backs. How cool is it that even though we're all in different places, we can still all be doing the same thing? Sharing our breath patterns, still breathing together, practicing together. That's the really cool thing about these live streams. Even though we're all forced apart, we're still together. Pretty amazing. So from here, lying flat on the back, I'd like you to extend the legs long and reach the arms overhead and get a full body stretch. Growing as long, as tall as you can. And then begin to walk the feet towards the right, keeping the hips pretty much where they are, the torso where it is. So feet walk towards the right, and then the hands walk towards the right, and the top of the head can follow. So we're finding our banana pose. If you'd like to deepen this pose, you can cross your left ankle over the right. You can grab your left wrist with the right hand, allowing the entire body to be heavy, as if it's weighted down to the floor. And then as you take a big inhale, notice where you feel expansion. Where is that inhale? Finding more space, more room for the breath. Even though we know logically the air isn't filling our entire left side of our body, it's filling our lungs. We can imagine that we're creating that space. The organs are all still shifting and moving around. Every time we breathe, our organs get massaged and moved. So by repositioning our bodies and taking these deep breaths, that's what we're doing. So imagine the left side of your body. Imagine the entire left side breathing in and breathing out. Appreciating the silence, the stillness, letting the inaction be the action of our practice. And we're going to come back to our center line very slowly and mindfully, drawing a straight line with our body again. Starting by bringing the left leg back towards the center line, the left arm overhead. Then reaching long through the right side of the body. Beginning to walk the ankles over towards the left, and the hands towards the left, finding this banana pose towards the other side. Finding yourself comfortable, completely supported, but finding interest. As you take a big breath in, where is your interest? Where's your attention led to? For me, it's definitely my rib cage, but for you, it might be somewhere different. Perhaps your mind finds something completely different, interesting, has nothing to do with the shape that you're in, keeps going somewhere else, it's being pulled in a different direction. This is your time. Go ahead and let that happen. Let the body rest and recharge. Give yourself permission to be as you are, wandering mind and all. Can you invite in a feeling or sensation of freedom, liberation? Oftentimes with Aparigraha, that's what comes next. By feeling free, you feel happy. You feel like you have choice. You're not bound down, bogged down. Invite in that sense, that feeling. Let it wash over you. Being free, without responsibility, obligation. You aren't being judged. There's no standard for you to live up to right now. In this moment, you are free. Notice how the body responds. And begin to straighten the body one more time. And then begin to bring the hands down by the hips and bend through the elbows. Roll through the wrists. If you'd like to bend through the knees and then sway through the knees, you certainly can. Counter movement is always a good thing. Begin thinking about how you'd like to spend your Shavasana. Pose of deep rest, of no effort. If your eyes are closed, you can blink them open and look around. See what you have around you. If you'd like to put a sweater on, get a sweater on, or grab some more blankets. You can build up a little recliner chair with your pillows and props to lay back on. I would encourage support beneath the knees, even the heels. And allow yourself to rest. Allow the body to get comfortable. Reminding yourself that you are completely safe. There's no burden, there's no binding. Nothing is clinging to you because you are clinging to nothing. You are free. I'm going to leave you here in your Shavasana. Feel free to rest here as long as you need to. Allowing peace to be where you rest, where you savor, and hopefully where you stay for the rest of the evening. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.